I'm Kylie from Texas, and you're watching College Volleyball Weekly.
I'm Kelly from Stanford Beach Volleyball, and you're watching or listening to College Volleyball Weekly Beach Top 20.
I'm Allie from Florida State, and you're watching College Volleyball Weekly Beach Top 20.
This is Jaden Whitmarsh from UCLA, and you're on College Volleyball Weekly. Go Bruins!
Hey, good day, everyone. We are rocking episode 4. Thanks for Kylie reminding me of the College Volleyball Weekly Beach Top 20. That's Jaden Whitmarsh of UCLA, Kylie Wickley of Texas, and Kelly Belardi of Stanford. And being really smart and doing labs is Allie Hansen of Florida State, who is actually studying and preparing for, I'm going to guess it's finals at this point for you guys. Yeah. Midterms or finals. So yeah, I'm glad she made the better choice rather than talking volley with us, because it's just a waste of time. No, I'm just kidding. But before we get started, I wanted to highlight one of our members on the screen here, and I think it's so cool that this person, let's see if it pops on there, was the feature of a alumni magazine.
That's so cool.
Did not tell me you were doing that.
That's why I do this. But Jaden Whitmarsh of UCLA on the alumni magazine this month, or came in the mail 3 days ago. So I was excited because I wonder which beach volleyball player they're going to have on. And there you are, almost centerfold. It's already pre-autographed too.
I know. What's so funny is they asked me to do this, and I honestly had no idea what it was for. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. I think it was like a little thing where you like fill in the blank. And I just thought it was kind of a joke. And I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take a big nap like after practice. Like I was writing like crazy stuff. And then there it is in the magazine. So there it is.
Well, I thought it was wonderful because great ambassador for UCLA beach volleyball and just beach volleyball period. So congratulations on that little piece. I mean, it's always a big deal. We'll get that trending.
Thanks so much.
Well, in any case, we do have week 4, as we were talking before we jumped on, halfway through the stinking season. Unbelievable. And it has been craziness. So rather than have me pick them out, I mean, I've got my few that I've got my eyes on, but I wanted to have you, the athletes, choose what you had your eyes on this last week and what results really caught your eye, or what teams caught your eye. So, I'm going to go with, I'm going to start with Kelly first on there, because she's in contemplative thought there, and it looks like she's ready to throw down one.
I remember after our games, we were looking at the scores of everyone else's games, and we saw that Cal beat FSU. And I thought that was like a crazy, super good for Cal. But we were like going through the lineups, and we were looking at like everyone like playing, like FSU is stacked. And I was like, I don't even know where Allie was playing. I think she was at the 3s or the 4s. And I was like, wow. And Cal beat them 4-1. And I was like, that's so awesome for Cal. Love the West Coast. But I was like, that's one of the biggest things I saw this weekend, that I was like, wow, that's really good. Or bad for FSU, but good for Cal.
Well, it's easy to say when Allie's not here, right? Well, it was exciting because they split. So it went East beats West, went 2 waves of flights, went 2s, 4s in exhibition, and then 1, 3, 5. So the first wave was the 2s and the 4s, and they split. And I think all the second wave of flights were all running neck and neck. So it was a race.
Wow.
To see the points fell so fast, but it was so exciting. Obviously, being down there, it was a lot of action on the beach, and so much excitement. I didn't get to see that second flight of play, had to leave for an indoor match, but the beach was late. It was getting close to dark because it ran long. No surprise, but the pair of Mary Lou Pally and Gia Fisher, I mean, they're kind of like the Kelly Belardi and Ashley Vincent of last year right now, because they are pulling off some big wins. And yeah, they had a loss this weekend, which we'll I'm sure one of us will cover on there. But I mean, they're playing some really good ball, but so is the rest of Cal, because that's one of the teams that I feel is like one of the younger teams, kind of where Stanford was at 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, young recruits coming in with a lot of volley IQ and skill, and now they're beginning to pan out here as all right, this halfway point. But definitely a great choice of one of the matches that caught your eye. Definitely one of the upsets of the weekend. So
Yeah.
let's go over to Kylie. I know that her season, well, she's redshirting, but her team season started this last weekend in Long Beach. So, but you don't have to choose that one. Feel free to choose any other one.
Well, I definitely was paying attention to my team and how they were doing. And also like Long Beach ASU, I was interested to see that matchup. Um, Long Beach State came out on top 3-2. And then also I really was like not shocked, I'm not super shocked, but like the score of TCU USC, the
Mhm.
4-1 was pretty dominant by USC.
Yeah, big win for USC for sure. I mean, TCU is not a walkover team by any. It's like, oh, everyone's trying to qualify for the Olympics, so they're not going to be that good. But man, they really are pretty darn good. So they still have some younger talent. They have Angelina Camille and Haley Hamlet. You know that well, one of them's a Texan, the other one's Ukrainian, I believe. So I'm sure that Kylie's had a lot of experience with Haley. Is that right?
Yeah, we
And
played club together. She's awesome.
like I say, I really don't like her that much. That'd be kind of funny, actually. But did Texas move around their lineups a lot this week since you are the our Texas insider?
Yeah, so there's 7 in the lineup that are beach only and then 3 that are indoor players. And so they kind of shifted things around like after every match, giving people different experience at different flights, that sort of thing. There was a lot of movement though. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I noticed actually at the East meets West, Maddie Skinner showed up on the beach, and I thought she would have been with you guys, but apparently she's training with USA indoor, I believe.
Yeah,
So,
her and Reagan Rutherford were at that USA college training block with like top 30 athletes.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it was that last year, the Long Beach event that I saw her and Molly Phillips playing for Texas at the one pairs. And they only knew two speeds, hard and harder. They didn't know the shooting game quite well, but it didn't matter when they were blasting everything out of the sky. So let's go over to Jaden. Any results that caught your eye?
Um, I was gonna say the TCU USC one. I think that'll be interesting to see how they match up in the future. And then yeah, obviously I was at the East versus West tournament, so just watching the games, it was just really good competition, and each duel was like just really close, even if it was like a 4-1, like it could have gone either way. In a lot of the duels, especially. I think it was Cal versus LSU that was really interesting to me. I was watching it, and I think it all came down to court 3. Um, and yeah, there were just like a lot of good competitions this past weekend, so that was really fun to see.
Funny that you'd bring that up because I have my little sheet from this weekend being on the mic, and that was one of the ones I highlighted because what ended up happening is it was number 8 LSU against number 6 Cal, and Cal took the first wave of flights, that's the twos and the fours, and came rip roaring back, tied it up 2-2, and it came down to the Gia Fisher and Mary Lou Pally, that the number threes matchup. But in the end, it was Ellie Shank and Ella Larkin that won that three pairs. The three
Yeah.
pairs, I'm gonna guess right off the top of my head, and giving LSU the duel. But that was a hotly contested one. That one basically made us late for the entire day. So that was one of the first duels in the morning. So, but what do you guys know about LSU? I mean, as an athlete, I see what I do, or I see what I see from the outside, what LSU is and the kind of program it is. But what do you guys see as an athlete for Russell Brock and his program at LSU? And who wants to take a stab here?
Oh, well, I can because we just played against them. Um, it's pretty noticeable that they're throughout their 1 through 5s, like their blockers are all kind of like the same, and not in the same in like talent, but like the way that their dynamic is on the court, it's like pretty much the same, I guess, throughout the 3s through the 5s at least. Like the defenders are all really, really scrappy and ball control, and the blockers are all pretty physical and they got heavy arms. So yeah, playing against them, you kind of have to pick and choose like how you want to defend. Like if you want to play against a hitter, you should probably serve the blocker. But yeah, honestly, their team is really good and they pulled off a few upsets this weekend, and they're definitely a team to look out for.
Yeah. Kelly or Kylie, anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen them yet in person this year. We're about to go. We leave on next Wednesday to go over there and play them. So I'll be interesting to see you start scouting them. But a name that I like always remember is Ella Larkin. I think she played at the fours last year, and then now she's at threes. So I remember playing her last year, and she was always like her and her partner. She played with Laura, who's now on Cal. But they were always super solid. Also, Russell as a coach, I feel like he's a very good coach and also like focuses on like team like culture, I feel like. So I think they're all like pretty united, which is good for a team, I think. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to play them. And I also agree with Jaden, like at least from knowing what I know of them last year, like the blockers are very physical and then the defenders are super like scrappy, which is I feel like they kind of go for rather than like a split or like two scrappy defenders, it's always one that's a big blocker, which like is hard if you're not always used to playing against a blocker. Like I feel like I play against a lot of splits sometimes. So I don't know, it's good, but it works for them. So I think they're always a team to look out for as well.
Yeah. Kylie, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I think they're just well coached again, like everyone else kind of said. I think like Ellie Shank, she 2022 won the pairs tournament too, if I'm correct. So
That's right. Yeah.
pretty solid player too.
Well, it's funny that so I'd have you three on this week, and all three are defenders. But one thing I realized about LSU is there are fiery defenders on LSU behind the block, and they were going all out. I mean, going horizontal, going into the barricades. And I just felt like they were eating raw meat and nothing could get in their way to get the ball. It's like, I was like about to call a play. It looked like it's me down. And sure enough, they get a back flipper on it, 15 feet out of bounds and keep it in play. And they go for it. And it is super fun to watch. And it blows me away that some of the girls that he's brought on are first time beach volleyball players. So some great coaching going on there for sure. And one of the teams that I was going to throw down as well because they got a pretty respectable upset. And of course, I'm going to do this well. Actually, no, I won't mention that one. Hawaii over LSU was a shocker on day two. It was 4-1, believe it or not. And you know, I'm sure it's tighter than it looks, but Hawaii's got some pretty solid talent. And I feel like everyone's been focusing on Long Beach State and Cal Poly without really mentioning Hawaii. But what do you guys know about Hawaii? And
I
jump
saw,
in.
yeah, they changed some of their lineups. I know they moved Pawnee up from the fives to the threes. And they've made some shifts in their lineup, and I think it's really benefited them about who they're matching up with. Um, I was watching Pac-12 today. Hawaii played against USC and Concordia. And Hawaii, when they were playing against USC, they were looking really good. And I think they lost 5-0, but the matches were real, like if you look at the scores, some of them were really close. Um, and I don't know, I just feel like they're kind of on a hot streak right now. So yeah, Hawaii is definitely stepping it up for sure.
Yep. Kylie or Kelly, anything to add?
Yeah, I was watching those games today too, and like a lot of the plays you're watching, like they're playing really well, and I feel like the more they play like that, the more they're gonna have upsets like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I feel like Hawaii, I feel like they're playing super well. It's hard, like I feel like discouraging when you play USC and lose 5-0, even though you're playing well. But I feel like playing like they do that a lot and they're like playing well a lot. Like I remember in Hawaii, they were probably like our game went the longest. Like it was probably our toughest match against their four pair. So I don't know. I feel like they have good defenders, they have good ball control, and like I feel like they have some like weird shots that I'm not used to. I don't know if that's like a Hawaii thing, but I don't know. They're solid, so I feel like you can never really like count them out. It'll always be a hard game against them.
They have an interesting dynamic to their team makeup. They've got big foreigners at the block, Kaylee Glago at the ones, Julia Lorenz at the threes with Pawnee, who's Brazilian, Jamie Santer at the twos, who's Canadian. Um, Anna Maidment. Actually, I believe she's a defender though, but it's an interesting dynamic. You have a Euro international plus an American player, and it works well for them. And in fact, the American players are San Diegans, if I'm not mistaken, because that's Alana Embry and Sydney Miller, which I think are your girls, right?
Yeah.
Wave girls.
Mhm. Yep.
So, with exception of Pawnee, well, she's Hawaiian, so we'll count her in. But it's I think Hawaii, their record is like 6-6 or 6-8. But if you look at their schedule, they've taken on every single top 10 team, it seems like at this point. So it doesn't surprise me. So it's good for them to get that a couple wins this last weekend at the East meets West, because that's a big win against LSU, showing that we may have this not so great record, but we can run with the big dogs if we need to. So
Yeah.
any other thoughts on play from this last weekend that we may have overlooked, or that we?
Continuing on that, international American Jacinda and Anna Paloya
Oh,
are doing pretty well too.
that's right, and they are the WCC pair of the week, one of the few conferences who's actually posted it. So, actually, the previous weekend, Anna was at the fours. I guess Jacinda was off for just rest purposes, load management. Came back on, and they had an undefeated weekend at East meets West, which was not easy to do. So, especially adding the fact you had a cloudburst of rain on Friday, um, and then offshore winds, and then onshore winds. Then we had finally a nice day towards the end of the day on Saturday. So you guys went through all the elements on the beach, and
Yeah, it was nuts.
of the other top 20 teams, was there anything else that stuck out for you? Because I'm thinking FIU still undefeated, but again, we're still getting information on those girls, and but I think next weekend is gonna be a big test for them, as they believe they'd be playing in a. I gotta go to the bottom of my notes here. They are at the Fight in the Fort, which is TCU, Arizona State, Washington, and FGCU. So they'll have a bunch of tough duels coming up. But what I wanted to ask you is, athletes, is being that we are at the halfway point of the season here, what are you guys seeing shape up here as we push for the second half and get closer to conference tournaments and NCAA tournament? And it's an open topic. It could be anything, could be teams, could be players, could be pairs, maybe the scheduling issues, because I know that some have played on the road for 10 days like Allie has, and I know it kind of showed in the last few days of the duels there. But I'm curious, because I know that our listeners are like, well, what's it like to do this? What's it like to play there? Or, you have these artificial facilities versus playing on beach, but any topic that you see shaping up here and what could be big as we finish off the second half of the season. So feel free to take a stab, just jump in, and ooh, there's a contemplative thought right there by Jaden. That's a photo. I feel like Kelly's gonna bust something out though.
I don't know. I was thinking just the other day, someone asked me and they were like, oh, so like when is like the final tournament at the end? Or like, what are all of these games that you're playing now? Like, what is it for? And I was like, that's kind of a good question because it's like all for seeding and stuff. But at least for us, I feel like the most important is like the Pac-12 tournament and then the NCAA tournament. So like all of these games, like obviously are super important and matter for seeding and stuff like that. But I think like across like for all teams, it's really just like learning and trying to figure out like the best pairs that your team could be at like these top tournaments. Cause like if you lose the first day of the NCAA tournament, no matter how well you did for the whole season, it like doesn't matter. So it's like, I feel like now, at least our team, we were talking about like trying to switch up pairs if we think that would be like the best, try to find like the best lineup that we can for these upcoming tournaments. Cause that's really like what matters at this point. So I don't know. I think that's an interesting beach volleyball thing. Like there's not like a conference winner. It's like just literally at the end of when you have the tournament.
The auto berth is what everyone's gunning for, but if you end up slipping the first few the first match of your conference tournament, you have to rely on a committee, and it's a terrible place to be in.
Yeah.
So good point there. How about you guys? Jaden or Kylie?
You can go, Kylie.
Well, I'm obviously not competing, but I remember like when you are competing, I feel like this is the time where your body starts to really start feeling it and you start to like really notice those kind of things, like really have to take care of your body kind of thing. And I feel like you also start to see a lot of lineup switches and like this is the time of the season where you really gotta like stick to your mental guns and like kind of work all that stuff out for like so you can peak in May when you're going like NCAA's, Pac-12s, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because of the way the travel is, like you were mentioning, Allie's been on the road for 10 days and she's kind of going stir crazy in the hotel rooms because they went from South Florida to the Gulf and then over to LA. So, they've been living in hotels with the same roommates. I'm sure that yeah, I remember how it was like back in the day and it wasn't so fun, but all right. How about you, Jaden?
Um, I agree with both of their points. I feel like those are great points. I wish I thought of those, but I guess one thing that's coming to my mind is just like I said earlier, some of the dual scores are like 5-0, 4-1, and it can look like a dominant win for one team or the other. But I just think like how important it is to close out a match. The pairs that know how to close a match and win are the ones obviously that do win, but it's just so crazy, like finding the things that make a team like the closers. I don't know how if that makes sense, but like trying to differentiate yourself in like Kylie was saying, like the mental game, like sticking to that and like I don't know, just connecting with your partner is going to help you win that match, if that makes sense. And I think that pulls out the matches that are like 3-2, 4-1, like the pairs that know how to win and close a match are the ones that are going to do it. So I don't know, working on that, I guess. I'm constantly working on the mental game. So yeah, that would be my little 2 cents.
Good stuff. It's actually, I think we may be on the same wavelength or frequency, Jaden, because one of the questions that I had, and it actually is involving Kelly too, because I noticed that you and Ashley were split up the last two duels. Like you were stayed at the threes, Ashley went to the fours, but given this point of the season, I mean, does that help your rhythm together? Do you stay together? Or not necessarily, I don't want to say, oh, you're going to lay out the Stanford game plan for the rest of the season, but but I mean,
I like
is that
give you our game plan. No.
yeah? Is it wise? Is that good for you guys? I mean, because teams stay together the entire season unless there are, I hate to say issues or the coach wants to experiment with different lineups, but is that wise being it's only an 8-week season if we're real, and you got to find the right chemistry in a short amount of time. But I've seen a few teams deploy it for injury purposes, but does it help, hurt? And I guess for the guy who just sits outside and watches, what does that mean for inside the team when you have these change of lineups?
Yeah. That's a good question. At least for Stanford, we've never, like last year, I remember we never switched up our lineup, which I think was beneficial, like as a like individual player, like nice to know your same partner, but like as a team, I think it could have been beneficial to try to switch it up more just to see like what would give us the best opportunity to win. So this year our coaches were like, we're just gonna try something. We don't know if we're gonna stick to it, but maybe just to see how this goes. And luckily for me, like I played with Ashley all last year and the beginning of this year. So it's like we already know how to play together and like what works and what we need to do to like hopefully win our game. And so last weekend in our duels, I was playing with Chloe, who's a freshman, who's great. She's super good. I love her too. So as a player, like figuring out what I needed to do to be with a different partner was definitely like a challenge at this point in the season. But I don't know. I think it's beneficial and like if something's not working, I could always go back and be with Ashley. So I don't know. I think it was a good coaching decision,
Yeah.
honestly.
Well, I know Jaden in all the years I've known you, guys feel like an old man here, from the high school days on through at UCLA. You've been with a few pairs, a few different teammates, and with Devin, with Riley, and now you're with Tessa. Did you play with Abby too a few times?
Only in preseason stuff.
But I mean, how is it like flicking, like being able, I'm trying to remember what situations you've been put in where you've been switched either at the flight or with a different partner through the season.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of different looks being on anywhere from like twos to fives, like really anywhere. And also with a bunch of different partners. And honestly, I've loved it. Like I love the opportunity to go to a great school and get to play with and against great athletes. And it's only made me a better player, just learning from how I interact with someone and also like what they teach me is a really cool experience and opportunity. So yeah, I've loved getting to play with a bunch of different partners, and obviously it's different with, different people, but I've only really gotten good things from it.
Yeah. I probably should mention, and since we mentioned Anna Paloya and Jacinda Ramirez as a WCC Pair of the Week, you've got Devin Newberry, Perry Brennan as the Pac-12 Pair of the Week, Taylor Haganaw and Malia Gemantera, the Big West Player of the Week or Pair of the Week, and then the National Pair of the Week. It's on the top of my head, but I don't even know it. It was
Delaney and
named.
Meg.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Delaney and Meg.
Oh, that's why I wanted to mention like another San Diego pair. That's what I was leading into.
Yeah.
Yep, we've seen the names before, Delaney Maple and Megan Kraft. Congratulations, AVCA Pair of the Week. And I feel like they're Pair of the Week all through juniors because I saw them playing all through juniors and then maybe a few duels in their freshman year, and then they were broken up and now they're back together dominating the world. So um they do have one loss though. I was surprised. It was early on to Lexi and Maggie, I believe. So which wow. But congratulations to all our pairs of the week. I figure, we're actually running a little bit long, so I want to go into what you're watching, but I'm going to lead Kylie into it first because Texas is hosting its first duel, and I think it'd be really cool for her to describe the excitement that's revolving around it now because and it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I think I mean, I'm not that surprised, but I was really surprised going to practice today to see like posters and like everything just covered in bleachers, and they posted like the first 200 fans are getting t-shirts. Like I can't imagine how many people on a beach volleyball thing that's not like the national championships or like Pac-12. So it's really exciting like seeing everything kind of come together that way.
Now, you said go ahead, Jen.
Question, is it going to be live streamed?
I don't know. I might be live streaming from my phone if you guys want to tune in. Instagram.
How many courts are there at the practice facility?
There are four. So it'll be like a traditional two flight, 2, 4, 6, and
Mhm.
then 1, 3, 5.
So we need to get you another phone to IG Live from. Well, if you're doing one court and you know of someone else, feel free to message me and I'll get it out there.
All right. Will
Assuming that you want it to be public. So,
do.
but it's a big deal. It sounds like you guys have a DJ, MC, and all that stuff, and you're getting people in the stands for it, which is exciting. So, this practice facility is going to be separate from what you're planning on building. Is that correct? Or is that going to go down?
Yes. And that's
Wow.
what's even crazier to me is the fact that this isn't our actual like courts even, but how much effort and like over the top it is. And I think that's awesome for the sport in general. But yeah, our courts will be built not in the 2026 season.
So you would have been 2 years in. You'll have 2 more years to enjoy the new courts.
Yeah.
All right. That's why you're redshirting this year. You want to be in the new facility. So,
Mhm.
all right. So we've got that one coming up. And at that, what are they calling it? What's the event called? Just opening weekend or, so I know there's some hoopla around it. It's going to be Washington, Houston Christian, and of course, Texas. Um, so Washington will be a good team to watch, for sure. But, no big tagline for the event that you're aware of.
Not that I'm aware of.
All right, so we'll find out if there's any IG live coming from Kylie's Instagram or another teammates. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Um, Kelly, Jaden, any other things you'll be watching this weekend, or even Kylie, because that was your home one. I wanted to lead you into that one.
I mean,
Because
I'm definitely excited to watch that, but also the TCU fight in the fort with all those teams. I think that'll be a lot of good matchups and fun to watch.
yep, last week's ABCA Pair of the Week, Giada Bianchi and Reiko Orsi Toth. That's gonna be fun. They're gonna be taking on Lena, Camille, and Haley Hamlet, your old clubmate. So at the ones, that'll be fun to watch. All right, Jaden or Kelly.
I was just gonna also say the TCU, what is it? Battle of the Fort? But what
Fight
is
in
it?
the fort.
Yeah. I'm really excited for that one. I don't I know ASU is going. My mom's not going, so there won't be a live stream from her, unfortunately. But I know that there's a lot of good teams there, so I'll be excited to look at those results and hopefully there's a live stream. I don't know if there is, but it'll be interesting to follow the scores for sure.
Yeah. How about you, Kelly?
Yeah, I'm interested in watching that too. Also, we like missed, I think, last week, and so I need to talk about how like when we went to Arizona, like I was so impressed with ASU. Like, I don't know, I thought they were super good. So I'm excited to watch them play. Not just because they beat us, but I thought they actually like played really well and were doing super well. But selfishly, when we go to LSU, I'm just excited for that. We leave like next week. And it's like I just looked up LSU, FSU, FAU, and TCU. So I don't
Easy
know,
tournament.
super easy, right? The usual. So I don't know. I'm excited to play all those teams because I also like FSU, LSU, FAU. I haven't seen any of them yet. So I'm excited. I feel like I've seen like most teams, but not them. So I'm excited for that.
Gosh, I feel like that between yours and Jaden's team's lineups or schedule for the rest of the season, I'm like, you might as well just be walking through fire. I because so you, well, before we jump to that, there was one this weekend that I wanted to get on the radar for everyone. It's the CCSA Midseason Conference Tournament. That's Jacksonville, South Carolina, GCU, and LSU, and Florida State. So you know, get to see who's actually going to separate themselves there at the CCSA. Obviously we know that LSU is good, Florida State is good, but GCU is in a rebuilding year with a first year coach, but they have some really good pieces. And saw Corinne Garrow play for the first time in person, and I think she's a Texan too. You Texans?
She's a club mate also.
Oh, she is impressive.
She is
Good
good.
blocker. Remind me a lot of a Latvian blocker that used to play at USC. Uh, Tina Gradina. A lot of very similar blocking moves that I saw. So, but that's one to keep an eye on. And what Kelly was referring to is the Death Volley Invitational. And it's apropos because that is a crazy gathering of top 10 teams. Um, Florida Atlantic, always a powerhouse in Conference USA, LSU, TCU, and Florida State. So, then you throw in the teams from the West. That's USC, UCLA, Stanford, and who am I forgetting? Cal? Are they out there for that one? I'll have to look. But that will be streamed every single court on Volleyball World TV
Yes.
for a small cost. So you guys find $5 somewhere and just get it for the month. It's worth it because you get to see all the FIVB events too. And where there are a lot of former collegiate players playing on the tour for different countries, not just the US. You'll probably see Alanis Navas showing up on there. There's a lot of events going on happening right now that you'll get a month worth of Volleyball World TV. I'm not getting paid by it in case you're wondering, but I mean, it's a great way to see volleyball and they do a good job. And my fellow hosts, MC Mark Sherman is going to be there. So that'll be exciting. He'll make it a fun event, like an AVP event. So definitely worth investing the $5 into. And Kylie, of course, we got to remember Texas could be IG living tomorrow. We'll keep you posted. So is there anything else we should jump in on before we call it a episode, ladies? No? We'll hit the Kylie model questions next week. Actually, it's spring break for a lot of people, so it's a little lighter of a schedule, but Death Volley, basically, a lot of teams are on spring break are flying out to Death Volley, the wonderful LSU complex, which is phenomenal. I know, have you guys all been there?
I've been there once.
Yeah. It's a bucket list one for me, so I got to make it out there. So But with that, that concludes episode 4 of College Volleyball Weekly Beach Top 20. Appreciate your time. Jaden Whitmarsh of UCLA, Kylie Wickley of Texas, and Kelly Belardi of Stanford. Best of luck this week, and we're looking for our on-site reporter, Kylie, for tomorrow's. Hopefully that all gets in. So thank you so much, ladies.
Thanks for listening to College Volleyball Weekly. Be sure to follow Rob Aspero at the Rob on the Mic on Instagram and at Rob on the Mic on Twitter.